So Talk to Me is an Australian horror movie from 2022. It was a huge hit at the box office when it was released that year, and it's had an amazing limited edition makeover on Blu-ray. It's also available on standard. Our thoughts are incoming. Bring Her Back out at the end of July, which is the sequel. Very excited to be watching that, hopefully in a couple of weeks. Sally Hawkins stars in the sequel, which is coming out soon. Dan from Nancy Boys is here. How are you, Dan?
Hello, I'm good. Well, thanks for having me back. It's been a while. No, all good. It's been a good few weeks. There's been some good stuff coming out. It's been quite an interesting time at the cinema, and some good stuff. So
yeah, lots of horror movies for 2025, Absolutely. Which is very exciting. I can't resist this. I was going to say, so talk to me about Talk to Me.
Let's talk about Talk to Me. So funny enough, I think I didn't receive the DVD. You've obviously got the DVD, which we're talking about, but I could obviously, I mean, it's probably been about a year since I saw the film. I wasn't actually that keen on it the first time I saw it. I think I went in with such high hopes on it, and I was hearing that it was like the best horror in years, and it didn't grab me. I then subsequently saw it again with my partner, Chris, about a year later. I was like, oh, I've kind of reappraised it a little bit.
With this, I thought, it's going to be another one of those possession movies, because obviously, a lot of the press stuff we were seeing and the clips and the trailer was the main character with the big black eyes, obviously with the eye caps in, and I just thought that's kind of been done to death, but I was really surprised at how unique it was.
I mean, I think maybe what I didn't appreciate at the time when I saw it back was how they've made a possession movie interesting. I hate possession movies. I find them all really, really cliche. They do the same stuff. This managed to do possession in a completely different way, so imaginative. Going in being like, it's going to be the best film ever, that maybe didn't come to the front of mind. But when I think back to the creativity of the hand and the iconography of it, and just showing possession in a much more interesting way than, someone's possessed, a priest comes and they do it, and they're arching their back and clicking their bones and all that.
Yeah.
I think where I struggle with it, and it's not just this film, there's a bit of a horror trope at the moment where just a lot of characters are really unlikable and obnoxiously awful to each other. And it was the same with this, like that they have these friends, and I'm like, why are you hanging out with each other? You're all just awful people. And I think that really ground on me the first time I saw it and bothered me less probably the second time around.
It's done really well. I mean, it's A24's highest grossing film, I think, to date, isn't it? I don't know whether that's changed recently, but I'm trying to think. It must be, right? Because I can't think of anything, because it was quite mainstream, I think, in a good way. Like, I think it just had a lot of crossover appeal with regular cinema audiences. It cost $4.5 million to make, and it took just over 92 million. So it has done incredibly well. And I've got to say, this new release is another fantastic box set as well, which, we reviewed two before. We did the coffee table, obviously in same kind of box, same size. We did the House of the Devil as well. This is the latest one of the latest ones. And it, if you bought those two box sets, expect the same kind of thing, because it comes with the book. It comes with obviously the 4K Blu-ray and the special features disc as well. And I watched a lot of those special features today. Haven't actually watched the film again, because I do remember the film quite vividly. I'd like to see it again in 4K just to see what the quality is like, and obviously we'll do an update on that. But
maybe that's the thing, it's not necessarily a film that I feel like I would need to revisit that often. It's like, it's actually quite an intense watch. Like, it's quite horrific. It's not like a fun Friday night popcorn movie. Like, it's quite, like, the themes are quite deep. The themes are quite heavy. I mean, there's that, without giving too many spoilers, there's the scene with the brother where he kind of, the possession lasts a bit too long. It's so violent. And it's so gory and grisly. And that's no bad thing on the film. It just isn't necessarily a massive repeat watch for me, like, because not for any other reason. It's just probably not that fun.
It is quite hard hitting. You're absolutely right. Because let's talk about the directors. So it's brothers, Danny and Michael Philippou, who are Australian, and they were YouTubers. And I think when they had the initial success, it was quite a surprise, because I think they'd had a lot of rejection up until that point, because a lot of people were seeing them as just YouTubers. They didn't think they were serious filmmakers, and I think it's great that they've done this and done it with such panache as well, because I think with their background, they're clearly passionate filmmakers, but obviously because they were on YouTube, people kind of downgraded them for that, and it's unnecessary.
And they weren't horror YouTubers, which I think is interesting. As far as I'm aware, like Raka Raka wasn't a horror thing. That's their channel, as I understand it. And obviously now with Bring Her Back, is that what they're doing then? Are they just going to, or are they doing what Ari Aster did and they'll suddenly go and do a comedy maybe, or something completely different? But
maybe. I mean, I know they are horror fans. I think was it Goosebumps, the series?
Yeah.
Was it called Goosebumps? I know one of them was a big fan of that, and they have been fans of horror, but I think they were very determined to make a horror that was believable and not something that was just full of jump scares, the predictable horror films that we've seen, particularly with this story. Because actually, let's talk about the story, because it might be an idea to talk about that. So it's a group of friends, isn't it? And the main character, she's grieving. She lost her mum a few years prior to where the story kicks off.
Slight horror cliche, like dead parents.
I mean, there is. I think they were quite honest about that, because in the special features, I was watching the interviews. They're really funny guys as well. They're quite intense, quite full on. They've got loads of energy, and that's what people that they've worked with have said about them, is that they have a determined passion for filmmaking, and they seem to have like endless energy. But they did say that they wanted to do a horror that was believable and featured believable characters. And I think there's a couple of people in the movie that weren't trained actors. They were, friends of theirs or something. So they wanted, obviously the Australian location as well was where they grew up and they went to school. It was all kind of landmarks that they wanted to be, quite personal to them. But I think the acting in this is really good. And that's what surprised me as well when I first saw it, was how believable it was. Because a lot of horrors, I mean, you'll probably say the same thing, a lot of horrors, just I switch off straight away because I don't get that connection with the acting, with the characters.
Yeah. And I think this could have been kind of quite gimmicky and like high concept. Actually, it's able to kind of bring out like personalities in the characters, and it's not, I said earlier I don't like some of the characters. I found them quite obnoxious, but there is quite a heart at the core of some of them. Like there's the best mate and the relationship they have, like you do feel it and you do kind of connect with especially the lead character as well. And I wouldn't have thought that was an amateur horror, or was acted by people who weren't professionals. It was really well done.
I think they got the reality thing bang on as well, because they mentioned in the interview that they'd had an experience personally where they were at a party and one of their friends had taken too many drugs and he started convulsing, and then people started getting out their phones and recording it. And it's like very similar to what happens in this film, where there's a group of friends and they have that hand, and the hand enables them to get in touch with dead people and kind of experience, almost like an Ouija board. I think that was an idea that they wanted initially, but obviously the hand was something that was a bit more different.
Well, I did wonder, is the hand a sort of allegory for drug use? Because it's sort of a bit like that, like, let's have a party and we're going to give you a pill and we'll see how you react to it. But that pill is just a hand that possesses you. Like, but actually, that could be a drug reference. Like 90% of it could be about drugs and what happens.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. You're absolutely right, because they do describe it as being, that metaphor of kind of connecting with people, and obviously the relatability thing, because everybody's on social media and people really do understand, that kind of morbid fascination as well. It's like when people see something like people being injured, or they see something horrific, that the first thing they do is get their phones out, because they want to disconnect from the reality of that, but they also want the thrill of getting lots of likes and being popular on social media. So I love that it does have that as the main thread of the story. It's like
it had layers to it, right? Like it was smart, and I think that's why I'm excited for them as filmmakers. I haven't seen Bring Her Back, because criminally, in the UK, we're getting it 2 months after the rest of the world. I don't get why.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's had a good reception, though. I mean, the reviews have been really good for it,
I mean, it sounds great. And again, it sounds interesting. It sounds creative. And they're obviously not guys who are banging out horror tropes and stuff that we've already seen. They obviously, as much as they're horror fans, they seem to be wanting to do stuff that's original and I can't champion that enough. I think we need that. I had this whole rant in my 28 years later video about thank God, it's doing something that wasn't what fans wanted. Let's just
it's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, let's just do a film that the filmmaker gives a shit about, not just pushing fan service and nostalgia into everything that we do, which I think we've got really stuck on that in the last few years. So the more filmmakers, the better, that are like, no, I want to deliver this kind of film, and that's what I want to say.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I loved Talk to Me at the time, because, well, the second time more so, but I was pleasantly surprised the first time, because I thought, like I say, I went in with low expectations thinking, it's going to be another cliche possession movie, with all the tropes. And yes, it does feature a few tropes, but they are very honest about that. They say, well, there's a couple of perhaps tropes, but we wanted to do something different with those tropes. Because to be honest, you're not going to be 100% original with a horror film nowadays, because everything's been done, hasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like a possession movie, you've got to have some of the beats that let people kind of know what it is. You've got to ground it in something, but in terms of how that plays out and what happens to the characters when they're under the influence of it, I didn't feel like it played out like a possession movie at all, which I loved. I just thought it just gave something new. And I've not seen The Ritual, which is that new Al Pacino film, but I understand it's complete rubbish.
We were going to review that. They didn't actually send us the screener at the end. I think it's because it was so awfully received. It was like people were slating it.
I'm not even going to review it. I probably won't even watch it. It's maybe my least favorite horror genre. So for me to not hate this was a start, but I actually really enjoyed it. But as I said, I enjoyed it more the second time, and watching it with someone else and seeing them react to it, was like, all right, actually, this is probably better than I remembered it being. It's that hype train thing, which I need to sort of ignore, is don't listen to it until you've seen it. I
love the fact that these directors are fans of practical effects as opposed to using too much CGI as well. And that's another thing that I was going to mention, was that the makeup and the gore and the violence is really well done and really well executed. It is choreography in a lot of sense, because you've got to have everything well timed. So they mentioned something else in one of the featurettes, the making of the pool scene, where there's a pool scene and there's a party and they're all jumping in and out of the pool, and that had to be shot, I think, 10 or 12 times just to get, various mistakes out, and they had to keep redoing it. And there's a scene where somebody's smashing in a door, and they use 10 doors in the end, I think, just to get the right cut, because a lot of it is one take almost. There's no cutaways, and
that's cinema, right? That's what we want from our films. You want a bit of a backstory about like how they did it, and how they accomplished it, and the kind of the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into it. And it's CGI just can't replace that feeling of, wow, that looks good, I wonder how they did it.
They can certainly talk. When you watch them in interview, they don't stop talking. That whole kind of like 150% energy thing. I think they're exciting filmmakers.
Well, they want to do it for the art, right? For the craft of it, not just to bang out a movie. So we haven't spoken about it, but like Final Destination Bloodlines, I liked it, but I felt it was very CGI-ish. And actually maybe just didn't have the heart of some of these newer movies that are going back to practical effects again. It does feel like there's a real backlash against CGI at the moment.
I watched it this week, and I thought the death scenes were really well done, particularly the woman that gets squashed in the in the rubbish cut.
Really cool. And actually, like, that had a really, although that was CGI, the way they did it was really, you can see it online that it was done with different rods that came across, and like
it's very clever, very clever. And I thought it was entertaining, but I had that disconnect thing where I found their reactions to deaths really unbelievable. It's like someone in their family's just died, but they carry on with life as if nothing's happened. I just found that really, but it's not that kind of film, I guess. It's not really an emotional film, is it? It's just an action film,
Whereas
horror.
This did have a bit of emotional resonance to it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree. I've got to show you some of the bits in here, because I've taken some other footage which will show you close-ups, but just to show you what you do get if you are going for the limited edition box set. You obviously get the 2-disc. One is the 4K and one is the special features disc. And like the other box sets from Second Sight Films, you get the book, really nice book, which is thick as well.
It's
and
huge.
It smells amazing. When you get new paper books, I can't stop smelling. I'm a bit of a weirdo like that.
It's fun. It's like being back at school and you get your new textbooks for the year.
Exactly. And you've got the art cards, really cool art cards. I think there's 6 of those. Again, I
love it.
I'll do some close-ups of those.
Although, because loads of people don't buy DVDs these days, so I guess when they do DVDs, actually they put effort into kind of knowing that only fans are going to probably buy it. So
yeah,
I mean, it's media again.
It's such a great package, and I have to say thank you to AIM Publicity for sending us the box. This isn't that old, so the restoration element of it, probably, I mean, 4K I guess is an upgrade, but I mean it looks great. I mean the cinematography in this with the lighting, the low lighting mood of it, and everything.
It all seems to take place in like low light, like it's all evening based. Yeah, everything's a bit gloomy.
But you can see stuff though. A lot of films where you see horror films where you can't see what the action that's going on because it's so low light, but it's really badly shot.
I spent like most of Clown in a Cornfield just trying to work out what the hell was going on. It was so dark, and it wasn't really worth it anyway. So,
so what star rating are you gonna go for? If you can remember, because you saw it twice, I'm guessing it was an upgrade second time you saw it.
I imagine I probably would have given it. I'm trying to think now. I reckon I would give it an 8, so a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, same here.
Great.
I thought it was really effective, and it did really disturb me. You mentioned at the start of this review that it's really gnarly. I mean, I think they were going to make it even more violent than it was because they obviously had to have some sort of compromise because it's an indie film, and obviously when it got accepted, and I think it was Sundance, wasn't it, that accepted it at the festivals when it first took off.
And there's that actor that plays the brother in it, and I think he goes through the most violent bits of the movie. Actually, there's the mouth meets mantelpiece scene, like that kid must have been about 14, 15. So he's phenomenal, like so good, like such good physical acting.
But it is the personal thing, the personal elements that do make it more effective. Because, I mean, yes, you did say the characters aren't really that likable. I mean, I guess a couple of them are, but they're just kids, aren't they? Essentially, they're kids that are having fun, that are probably drinking too much and taking too many drugs. And, kids aren't very likable when they're in that party environment because they're just extreme, aren't they? They're just kind of wanting thrills, cheap thrills.
I just wouldn't have friends like that. They're all just so awful to each other. Like, God, come on. Friends are there to like build you up. It's a bit of a horror thing. I have a real thing about it, and I notice it really sharply now if other films do that, of characters just saying really obnoxiously awful stuff to each other for sort of script purposes. It's just minor criticism for this film. It's not that they do it any worse than anyone else. It probably wound me up more the first time around, and less so the second time.
So let's talk to me. Out now. We were going to do this a couple of weeks ago. There's so many things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, and obviously the heat in the UK, the heat wave. Lots of people, I've got friends in Australia that were saying heat wave. You wait till you hit like 40 degrees if you're just on 32 at the moment. But yeah, we were going to do it earlier, but things got in the way, and we got there eventually. It's only been out a couple of weeks, but you can buy it now. We'll put all the links down below. And Nancy Boys as well. What's happening on Nancy Boys?
Yeah, I can do a little plug for my 28 days later. I'm getting so confused with those three films, which one's which. The 28 Days Later location tour is now up online. I've been working on that for like the last 2 years. I feel like I've mentioned it many times of it's coming. So it's now been done. Quite annoyingly, I've just found like 2 more locations that someone on Reddit found for me that they'd like discovered where they were. So I probably will do a follow-up to it at some point just to fill in the blanks.
You got to do a special features episode, part 2.
Well, there's a whole gas station that gets blown up, and apparently I now know where it was filmed, and so there's loads of extra stuff. So go and check that out. I've got a few more like horror movie location tours on there and bits and pieces. So
excellent. And I was going to say, because there's a lot of special features I haven't watched, and obviously I haven't watched The Upgrade as well yet, but I will get round to it, and I'll post it all on Instagram. So the details on the screen now of where you can find us on Insta, and also Nancy Boys, all of those links down below. And it's good to see you, Dan. I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for having me.